Guess what? I'm going to make a platter out of Puddle Cabochons. Got to say that slowly. Very interesting project. Don't go away. I think you'll be very surprised with the end result. Hope you are well out there. My name is Jeff and welcome to the channel. On this channel, I do all sorts of glass fusing projects, and might be surprised at what I get up to next. You'll see all of my mistakes as well as my successes. And in this video, there's a couple of mistakes. So hang around and we'll get into it. Now, the motivation for this video, or I should say this project, is some Puddle Cabochons I've had sitting around here for a while. They're black and white, so they're quite plain. There's not a lot of colour in them. But if you've watched my videos before, you probably realise that I have a little bit of a leaning towards the darker colours. Yeah, sure, I like bright colours and pastel colours. I like them all. But I have a bit of a leaning to dark colours. We won't get into how that comes out of my personality. Anyway, this project is a complex one. It took me a while to put together. There's a part sheet that had to be made to start off with, and then that had to be combined with some Puddle Cabochons that had to be fused into a feature bar, and then it was all assembled, and you'll see there's a bit of sandblasting going on. So there's quite a bit going into this piece, but I'm sure you will be surprised at the very end of it just how it came out. Now, hopefully you'll enjoy the video, and if you do, consider becoming a member. There are some extra benefits for being a member, and maybe even consider using that thanks button down there if membership isn't to your liking. But certainly please share it around, and I would really appreciate that. So let's get into this project. The design of this piece is quite simple, but it does depend upon a little bit of work to start off with. I have to make two components. One is the part sheet that will form up the sides. Another one is this central feature here. This central feature will be made of these black and white Puddle Cabochons that I've had for quite a while, and I'm going to fuse them all together in a bar. The other component I'll use for the sides of the piece, and the way I'm going to make that is I'm going to use this mink, and I'm going to take some opaque white, coarse, and I'm going to sprinkle it on each side. And then I'm going to take some black powder. Now I'm going to sprinkle that over the top of that and try and graduate it in from each side. Now the final size will depend upon that central bar. So depending upon how wide it is, after I have cold worked it and the length, I will decide upon the final size, because I want to try and maintain a ratio of 4:3 if I can. So that's the design. The materials are opaque white. These are made of plain black and opal white, mink, which is 0119, and obviously black fine frit, not fine, I keep saying fine, powder frit, and coarse opaque white frit. Of course, the final piece is going to be slumped into a mould, and I'm going to use my old favourite, and that's this stainless steel one that gives it a nice curve for a platter. So that's it. Remember, all of this is COE 90 bullseye glass, so the firing schedules you will need to adjust for whatever COE you're using and your kiln. Stay safe, make sure you use all the relevant safety gear. So the first thing is to make this bar here, because that's critical to the whole thing. So I'm going to just put all those together. I will dam it on the side and we'll fuse it together and just see what we end up with. So I've arranged these cabochons on thin fire paper on this shelf. I've dammed it on the sides, and I've got little strips of thin fire paper on the sides as well. And I've also taken one of the cabochons and I've broken it up into little chips, and I've put chips in the corners where there were gaps to hopefully make it fill into a nice bar. So I'll get that into the kiln now and take it up to a full fuse. So that's the final piece after the full fuse. It's a nice bar. I'm quite happy with that. It's a little bit irregular on one side, but that's not going to be a problem. I am going to take this over onto my flat lap, and I'm going to grind the sides, make them parallel and straight. And on the ends, I'm going to square off the ends, both ends. And the size of that will then determine the final size of the piece. So I'll just go onto the flat lap now and we'll do some grinding. So after grinding, the feature ended up around 23 centimetres long and 2 centimetres wide. I've played around with this a little bit, and I think that's about where I want the shape to be. It's going to be 23 centimetres that way and about 21 this way. I am going to bound this with white opaque, or opaque white, and on the edges with black. So that'll be about 5 mils thick with black on the sides. So the next thing to do is to make up the part sheet. And if you remember, that's going to be this mink, and I'm going to graduate it from the outside in, so it'll be thicker out here and thin it out as we come in towards the front here, or middle I should say, not the front. So the next thing is to make up this part sheet. Wish me luck, because sifting frit is not my forte. I tend to jerk and shake, and it doesn't always work out really nice and smooth. But a good thing about frit is I could take it all off and try again. So hopefully, finally, I can get a nice even graduation towards the centre. So I'll just explain why I've cut these into two pieces rather than trying to do one big sheet. what I want to try and do is be consistent about how I sprinkle on the frit. So I'll run through, right through. So I'm going over two pieces at the same time. And hopefully I'll get a bit more uniformity to that sprinkle. I've also got these sitting on two pieces of glass so that I can more easily pick them up and put them on the shelf later on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this opaque white on, and I'll sprinkle it across. Once I'm happy with that, then I'll put the black frit on, and if it all looks good, it's fine. If it's not, I'll take it all off and start again. Well, that was interesting. I knew the dark colour of the ink was going to be a potential problem, but not quite as much as I thought. Obviously, with a dark background, sprinkling black frit onto it doesn't make it easy to see what your coverage is. So in the end, I just tried to use the reflection off of the glass, that's just the shininess of the glass, to determine just how much coverage I had over it. I don't know how successful I've been. I know it's a little patchy in places, but hopefully it'll be enough. I've just simply tried to get a nice black coverage up here and graduating down into the mink with the white speckles over it. Now, because this is just one sheet of glass, and if I full fuse it for long, the edges here will start to pull in and round up. I don't want that to happen. I want to keep it as flat as possible. So I'm going to take it up high enough to melt it down, even if it leaves just a little bit of texture, so I can then trim up those edges and make it fit. So I'll get this into the kiln and we'll get it going. As you can see, it's out of the kiln. Fusing is finished, and I'm quite happy with that. That's worked out quite well. A little bit more graduation would have been good, but it was very hard to tell on that mink just exactly how much black I had on it. Now I think it's going to serve the purpose for what I wanted to do. You might start getting the idea of what I'm trying to achieve here. So just imagine that. There'll be another white there, black, and black on that side. Hopefully when I grind this up and square it off, we'll get off, I should say. We'll get rid of that little bit of mink showing through there. So that's the next stage, is to square this all up, get it nice and even, and then we can assemble it. So I've now ground these, and I've made both sides parallel, and I've also squared everything up, and I've done both of these. I now have another issue. These are going to be fused that way down. But the problem I have is this. This is 6 mils thick. These are 6 mils wide. That's the white strips. These are really only about 3 mils thick. But when I put them together, they come flush with here. And the reason they're doing that is because they have a slight rounded edge where the glass has started to pull in on the sides when I fuse these. Now I don't want to grind that right off because I'll lose too much glass. Obviously I can't grind the other side. So I'm going to run black from there right to the outside edge. And then this should all slump down, go flat, everything should fuse together, and we should be right. I do expect these lines here to not be very straight when I'm finished. But on the bottom, which will eventually become the top, they should stay nice and straight. So I've got to cut a little bit more glass. I'll cut a couple of pieces of black to fit on here, and I'll also trim these to make them fit exactly right as well. And I'll come back. That's all cut. So as you can see there, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to fuse these on the side like that. So on the bottom, it's just going to be black with that feature strip in the middle. So now I'll get this all cleaned up. We'll get it on a kiln shelf and we'll get it in the kiln. So it doesn't look great at the moment. It has been fused and the edges are a bit wonky, so I've got to do some cold working on those edges. But we've also got this scummy bit from the thin fire paper. Now, under normal circumstances, I would sandblast this, but I can't sandblast it because if I do, I'm going to take off that pattern from the Frit underneath. So I'm going to clean it the best I can, then I'm going to sprinkle, this is after I've done the edge, I'm going to sprinkle some Frit over it, clear Frit, and then I'm going to refuse it. And hopefully that'll be the last fuse before I slump it. So if I get these edges straight, I'll actually round these over, I'll bevel them over. I'm not looking to do a straight edge, or a square edge I should say. So I'll get them done. Make sure it's all clean, then we'll sprinkle on some clear Frit and we'll get it back in the kiln and we'll do another fuse to fuse down that Frit, and hopefully after that we'll end up with a really nice piece. I have a problem, and it's all my fault. Can't blame anybody else for this one. I fused this up to 780 degrees because I didn't want to go to a full fuse, because I didn't want to make these lines or give them the opportunity to go wobbly. And because I only went to 780, that meant that the frit I put on did not fuse fully, and thus we have a textured surface, which you can see there. Now, I could put it back in the kiln, of course, fuse it again, but the problem I see with that is that I'm just going to make these waves, or I should say these lines, wavier, and then probably distort it even more than it's distorted now along these edges. And that means more cold working, and that means more kiln work. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is, and I must show you another problem, is on the back here. You can see these marks here. That's where it was ground on the flat lap, and of course, because this was sitting on the kiln, on the kiln paper, that did not get a chance to polish out as well. So to fix everything, to fix this and this speckly look about this, you can see the black is not black, it's speckly because the frit is not fully fired. To fix that, I am going to sandblast it and then slump it, and the sandblasted parts will gain a satin type finish. And the parts I'm going to sandblast are the back of it, these borders, this side here, and the feature down the middle, including the white lines. So that'll all be sandblasted. These are sandblasted, the back is sandblasted, and then I'll slump it. And we hope that the final piece will look more consistent. We'll have a more polished finish in here than the sides, but the sides will still have a texture to them, and this will still have a texture to them. We should bring back the nice dark black in these areas here, get rid of that little speckly look, and hopefully we've got a good piece. There we go, it's all finished. I've sandblasted the whole thing on the back, and these side strips, the centre strips on the front, and we've left these sides here still polished. So now I'll get it on the mould and in the kiln. Now, is that something you would be happy with in the end? I know partway through, just like me, you wouldn't be very happy about it, but tell me in the comments if you would be happy with the final product there and with the final colours. Now, I did have some issues with that, as you will have seen in the video. I was originally going to take it to a full fuse, and then I double thought it, and I thought, If I do that, the lines would all start going a bit wobbly as the glass moved. So I only took it to 780 and didn't consider the fact that by only taking it to 780, the powdered clear frit on it wasn't going to fuse fully, and hence we ended up with that slight texture look about it. So that was a bit of a problem. We had a few marks on the back of it because of where I ground it and because it wasn't taken to a full fuse, so they had to be fixed as well. So it was fixed by sandblasting all the back of it and sandblasting the side strips and the centerpiece, and not doing a fire polish, but just slumping it, hoping to get that nice soft textured look to those areas. And I think that has worked well. In fact, I think it's better than a full polish myself. I actually like it better than a full polish. It adds a little bit of difference to the whole pieces, you know, from the sides where those strips are, the centerpiece, and then those nice polished sides on it as well. Well, nicely polished with a little bit of texture. But I think it turned out really well. I'm very happy with that piece. May not be to your liking because of the dark colours. As I say, let me know. I'd love to know how you think about it. Now, as I said, any questions, please ask, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're interested in membership, you'll find some example member-only videos up here, a button to find out more information, a suggested video down here just for you, a subscribe button, and that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.